What is the M28 ministry about, Danny, and why was it developed?
Well, it came about as a response to the last several decades of churches not effectively being relevant to a younger generation of people. And it just became a matter of time before we really started to see with our own eyes the lack of attendance and those types of things. And so M28 really comes out of Jesus' command. Last thing he says to the disciples when he appears to them is to go out and make disciples. And so it's replacing a system of church that is based more on maintaining the church and being more of a business model to actually taking on those words that Jesus says to try to make disciples. And so we have to create a system where we can actually go out of the church and bring people in and then help them through a process of becoming disciples of Jesus Christ so that they could go out into the world and bring them in and help them through the same process.
When did the idea of ministries come into play here? And how do they fit? How do they drive the M28 overall ministry?
We've been very intentional about taking away some language that might be associated with any type of government or even business models. And so you won't hear things like programs, you won't hear things, like committees, because it's very vague, but also pretty secular. So we're trying to really up the game to saying that hey, we do ministry because we are all called to be ministers, not volunteers, but ministers to actually do works of Jesus Christ. And when we find what gifts God has given us and we use that for others, then we become ministers and we do ministry. And so in other words, we enlighten people with the power and grace of God that comes from God, which is different than anything else that this country or this world has to offer. And so we're very intentional about using those, a lot of strong words about who we really are. It's our identity statements.
What are the 7 ministries called? And why 7? Why not 10 or 5 or 25?
Well, first of all, I can't count too high, so we had to keep it to a certain number. But what we do with the 7 ministry teams, it really helps us create a team of people that work together. All 7 teams are working together to create every opportunity for everyone who comes outside the church to be a part of the church. And so it is a part of the discipleship process. So in other words, the first one would be like outreach. We create this huge event where everyone is involved in helping people be a part of this event. And that brings in people. And so when they start to come on Sundays, we have people in the parking lot that can greet them and make them feel warm and comfortable, because all the statistics show that, a person's going to decide whether they like the church or not within the first, 5 minutes of their visit there. And so what they do in the parking lot is very important, and then they hand it off to a follow-up team, which then helps guide them to the places they need to go, which could be the youth and children or family life team or worship and tech team. And then as they become a part of the process of the church, then they're going to get involved with the small groups that can help grow and develop their faith so they can learn more about what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. And then if they want to learn more and grow more, then they start to get more involved in diving deeper into the intricacies of our faith. If they want to learn more, they want to be able to create those opportunities.
I've heard you say teams quite a bit. M28 is being implemented using teams. What is the team concept, and what's different about it than using committees?
Well, committees are something that haven't been effective in churches since I have been in ministry over 30 years ago. It always came down to people wanting to be a part of a committee or asking to be a part of a committee randomly, and then it ended up being the committee chairperson who ends up doing everything. And so the concept of team is pretty simple. And what I tell people is that if you have a child or a grandchild that loves to play soccer, are you going to encourage them to be a part of a soccer team or a soccer committee? And just those 2 images, you go, ooh, I don't want to be a part of a soccer committee. I won't do anything but sit around a round room and talk about rules. But a team is a different concept because everybody is a part of the team trying to accomplish the same goal together, but everyone has a special role that they play with on that team, and they have to learn how to work together, and they find a lot of fulfillment of accomplishing what goals they have.
Okay. What does the organization look like with the these 7 ministry teams, and how does it fit within the overall operations of the church?
It's a little bit different in the sense of how the churches are, I think, biblically are to operate. So in other words, we have a group of elders, and I look at them as kind of the parents of the church, and what they do is that they help set the values of what the church is about that have been decided on by the congregation. And so we have this umbrella look, and they're the elders that kind of oversee all this. And then you have the deacons who are like the pole of the umbrella, and they kind of assist whatever elders need and help with the leadership. But then you have, on one side of the pole, you have all these administrators. People love to do administration. People love all the stuff of money. They like how to operate and things like that. Then you have on the other side of the pole, you have the people who love to do ministry. And so the best way I know to think of it is mechanics and cars. If you have a NASCAR, you have a driver that loves to drive. They can care less what's under the hood. Then you have all the mechanics who love what's underneath the hood and care less who drives the car. And so we create 2 different boards, one of mechanics or administrators, and then one of drivers, but also those who are actually involved in ministry. And so the whole role of the administrators is to oversee a lot of the stuff that needs to take place in the ministries, but also to provide them with the resources, the tools, and whatever they need to be successful.